Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the Chinese Tier 9 Tech Tree Heavy Tank, the WZ-111-14. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the WZ-111-14. It's a tank that I always used to enjoy and loathe at the same time. And that's because the 5 degrees of gun depression on this tank is a bit limiting, and it's a bit of a pain. The 490 Alpha on this vehicle, on this 130mm gun, is beautiful. I always loved the 490 Alpha. Always. It was always glorious. It hit like a truck, and I felt like I was a powerful being when I was shooting a lot of tanks with it, because it felt like I could trade really effectively. The mobility on the vehicle is okay. It's a bit sluggish to get up to its top speed, but it generally gets there. The armour on it was really nice with the turret, but the hull armour really started to struggle, and it liked getting set on fire quite a bit. But what made me loathe it so much was the 5 degrees of gun depression mixed with an extremely derpy gun. Now, the gun on this tank is pain. It is just pain. It likes missing shots. Even in this 6.0 world, where everything is extremely accurate, this gun still likes to miss. But it is a hell of a lot better. A hell of a lot better than it used to be. And it's a pretty enjoyable tank if you can make it work and you can get used to the gun handling and the 5 degrees of gun depression. Because it's got 50 km/h top speed with a 50 km/h reverse speed, which is 13.33 horsepower per ton ratio, which is really nice. Top speed, great. Reverse speed, pretty good for a heavy tank. 13.33 horsepower per ton ratio, not too good. Means you generally go between 45 and 50. You do get up to 50, but it takes just that little bit to get up to it. You've got 512 meters of view range with this vehicle as well, which is nice. I do like the 512 meters of view range. Means you can spot for yourself pretty easily in the tank. Naturally, you will get out-spotted all the time, though, by more stealthy vehicles, but 512 helps you get good assistance damage on some of the maps where you really need that kind of view range, like Prokhorovka, for example. You've got a 28 degrees a second hull rotation speed with a 31 degree a second turret rotation speed, which means the turret does turn faster than the tracks, which can be quite nice, but that's because we've helped it to get to that. And it's, like I say, it's one of those things that always leaves me with a bit of a bugbear on certain tanks, is when the tracks do turn way quicker than the turret. So sometimes I will just try and help it in that regard. We've got 0.69 accuracy during rotation with the build that I run, with 2.05 accuracy during movement. So the accuracy during rotation is pretty good. The accuracy during movement is not, which is why we've helped it out as much as we can. Accuracy during movement is a very important statistic because it affects how big the aim circle would become when you move forwards and backwards in any tank. So it's always the best thing to do is to knock that accuracy during rotation down as low as humanly possible. If you naturally get it down to 1.5, somewhere in that region without the gun stabilizer, then you don't generally have to think about it that much. But because the accuracy during rotation is pretty good, but is not that good if you don't run the gun stabilizer, and the accuracy during movement is atrocious, you really want to help everything out you can on this vehicle. Because you've got 2.67 second aim time with this build, which is pretty slow at aiming, which means if your aim circle blooms out a lot, you have to wait for quite a bit to be able to actually get the gun going and firing. And as you can see, because of the run and gun skill, the gun stabilizer, the snapshot, the aim circle, I should say, really wasn't that bloomed out from when we came to a full stop from going at 50. Which means that we were ready to snap the shots in far quicker, which is something that's a lot nicer on the 111-14 these days than it ever used to be. It used to be atrocious for it, because you'd have to get to this position, and then you'd have to sit there going aim, and then with the 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters that we have, which is fairly derpy, and I mean, it used to be way worse as well, naturally, because the skills help it. It would miss, it'd hit the floor, and you sit there going, oh, 111-14, come on, 111-14. You know, it's one of those where you'd just be going, come on, right? And it'd just be pretty frustrating. These days, the gun is not too bad, and then you can slap out with this 490 Alpha, which is super satisfying. Although low rolls still happen, as we should have killed that gorilla there. Thanks, game. Great RNG, right? Yeah. So the other thing about this gun is it has 244 penetration on its standard AP rounds with 340 heat penetration. 244 is okay. It's not the best because there's quite a few that go in at 250 plus, But 244 is still enough to go through a lot of vehicles, and then if you do struggle with 244, you can just go through them with 340, because 340 hit 8 pen is just, oh wow, it just butchers, absolutely butchers. And I mean, you've seen that in this game already against the E100, where we just went, oh, it's an E100, loads heat with malicious intent, and yeah, the poor guy just went, no, I'm cooking. That's what happens when you turn the heat on in the kitchen. So the E100 got shut down by that heat round, and that's what this tank can do. If it's struggling with AP, just load heat. You got 930 meters a second shell velocity on those 2 rounds, which means that it's not the best velocity in the universe, meaning you do have to give a good amount of lead to make sure that you're hitting the target at distance. So just be careful of that. You do have a 9.48 second reload as well, which is 3.1k DPM, which is, again, it's not the worst in the universe. It's also just not the best. Naturally, again, used to be way slower, which was part of the pain with the 111-1.4, is that you used to have a far slower reload mixed with a derpier gun and bad accuracy, derpier gun, all that good stuff. Meaning that, yeah, awkwardness with the 5 degrees gun depression. You just sit there going, aha, I've aimed in, I've missed anyway. And then you'd have to sit there for a longer reload, which could be absolute pain with the 111-1.4. And yeah, it used to be frustrating, especially with the fact that it does get set on fire a lot. And Armour tends to get damaged quite a bit in this 111-1.4 as well. So what do I run in terms of recruit and equipment on the old WZ-111-1.4? Well, I run Ball Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Rapid Aim, with the Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Optics to be able to get that 512 meters of view range, again, to be able to spot for myself quite effectively. You could run Vents instead of that to get better DPM, better accuracy, you know, all that shebang. Gun Stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as humanly possible. With the Advanced Loader to get that as DPM as good as it can be, as always. All 3 gun perks, because this gun is derpy. And it's nice to make the derpy gun even better if you can, because like I say, it can be pretty frustrating when you miss shots with this tank. And then the Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because for me personally, like I say, it annoys me a little bit at times when I have a tank that's turret traverse is worse than its track, or is it on par with it. I'd rather have it turning faster. But there's plenty of other options you could run on that. If you want to make it turn quicker, you could run clutch braking. If you want to just reduce the amount of damage coming into the vehicle, you could run the armor angling. It's down to you and how you want to play the vehicle. As always, the setup is usually to sort of match you and how you play the vehicle. So as you can see in this first game, we are up to 5.3k damage to 254 assistance. We managed to block 3.1k damage as well, which is really quite nice. Hidden Village, there's 2 tanks left. The light tank having just died to the Leopard 1. There's a TD at A2, which is what I assumed. And then there's a TD round here somewhere. I'm like, oh no, it's Ruthless! That was a brown trousers moment. Absolutely. Wowzers, I definitely made a mess of my trousers. That's what happened with the WZ-111-1.4 there. When we saw the Ruthless, it was like, oh no, die! And he died, and thank God, it was like, oh thank God. That could have been a bad moment. But, you know, 5.5k damage. I knew where that Ruthless was. He was somewhere up in that corner. I just thought he'd be carried in the corner like people do on Hidden Village. They just hide around the corner and wait for someone to drive around. But instead, he just came barreling around that corner. I was like, I don't want it. I don't want the 183mm of pain, and we got rid of him, so. We finished that first game with the victory. 2 kills, 5.5k damage, 254 assistance. The first class with the 1738 base XP. A pretty damn nice game there for the 111-1.4 on Hidden Village. And I mean, that pretty much showed off what it can do. If you get it into that position where it's hull down and they can only see your turret, but you're in the perfect place for your 5 degrees of gun depression, because like I say, 5 degrees of gun depression on this vehicle is very limiting, meaning it can be pretty difficult to get it into a good spot. But it's at that point, it's down to your knowledge and your use of the ridge lines and positions where you're going to get the best out of this vehicle. Because that's the thing with this tank. This tank is a lot about putting yourselves in the right place for the tank. Because if you're too aggressive in this tank, it's going to go quite badly. Because, like I say, your hull armor tends to get trashed by the premium rounds. Side scraping it can do, but there's a lot of times it catches shots that you sit there going, really? You know, let's say the Armour gets damaged all the time, it gets set on fire all the time. So being too aggressive in this vehicle can lead to death rather quickly and can make it an absolute pain. So if you keep yourself as a support heavy, which is the way it plays similarly to a tier sorry, not tier 10, to a T10, the Soviet tier 9 tech tree heavy tank, right? It plays that heavium role, where you are a support tank, but you've just got a little bit more alpha in lieu of the DPM, and you've just got to keep this 490 flowing. But try not to be the man that's there going, hey, shoot me, because it's not going to go too well for you. So this second game is on this map, which is Vineyards. And so far, got one shot damage, 542. Nice roll. And that's because, well, we got a shot at the FV4005 RBRT on the move, and thankfully RNG said, yeah, sure, I'll hit that. And it's like, thank you, Mr. RNG. I see you. I see you. We're up to 1,026 now with that shot into the Leopard. The Super Conqueror, thank God, is just being hesitant. I really want to try and poke around and get a shot into his lower plate, but I'm watching that Leopard 1 because it's like, is he going to do it? He is going to do it. And we ricochet on a Leopard 1 turret because, yeah, angles. You know, the tank that you're very rarely ever going to bounce off of. Well, of course we did. Because why wouldn't we? You know, that's the way it goes with angles on the turret. Leopard 1 has paper armor, and you should always expect to pen it, but it does have weird angles on it, which means that occasionally you can just end up with that shot that just goes and bounce, which can be annoying. But we take a hit off of the Super Conqueror to deal a shot into him, which sometimes is a decent trade, possibly not at this point, but if we could have killed him there, yeah, it could be worth the trade. But again, we know that we could pull round to safety, so he reloads far quicker than we do, but he hit us for 390, we hit him for 500, right? That's the difference. We have that trading power, which is what is nice about the WZ-111. You just got to be careful about how much you trade, because at the minute, he's put 2 shots into me, I've put 2 shots into him. I mean, I've nearly knocked 1,000 hit points off him, he's done nearly 800. So he fires, which means we got the chance to put the shot into his lower plate. He's a one-shot. We're just hoping he'll get shut down before we go around this corner again. Waiting on the reload. The 60 TP's turn around. Hopefully we get the shot into that lower plate. Aiming it up straight in. With the Super Conqueror, you do have to be careful when you're shooting that lower plate, because the lower plate is fat and easy, but there's a little bar, which is where the little bits of space armor that go over the upper plate are, that look like they're the lower plate, but they're not. There's just spaced armor, which means they can take the hit. You really have to hit the lower end of the lower plate to be able to pen the Super Conqueror there without having the troll bounces that you get off that spaced armor. So we're up to 2.7k damage, a 390 assistance. We're going for this VKB, clearing the corner, because that's what you really want to do. If you know there's a tank or two at K1, you want to push across and clear it out, because if you then decide to push down to where the TD was at H34, naturally you can die quite quickly from anyone that is around this corner, and it's not going to go too well. The Leopard 1 that was here actually pulled back round behind there, and oh my lord, that was a shell. That's not where I was aiming, game. How did that go up there? Well, okay, whatever you say, game. Tried to get the shot on the 268 version 4, but I'm not 100% sure how or why that shot went where it did, but fine. The Leopard 1 that I thought was possibly at J1 actually was behind the Abbey, like I say, which meant that we know that J1's clear, so we're going to push aggressively towards the train tracks, hopefully be able to spot anyone that's at D3, because they still do have 7 tanks left, of which 6 are tank destroyers, which means there's going to be someone camping on that Campy Camperson hill, because there always is. And we got spotted and detected as soon as we poked over, and it's like, okay, there's something there. There it is. It's the version 4 and a Turan. So we spotted them both, because that's what we made this push for. The T100LT pushes over as well. We tried to get a shot into the T100LT, but unfortunately we ended up missing. There's a Ho-Ri 1 across the way, which means, well, don't mind if I do. We put a shot into the back of the Ho-Ri 1, and we're up to 3.6k damage. If we can help our TDs across the way towards our base, that's great, because they're going to be in perfect places for me to shoot their tanks. So it's a good idea to get rid of them, because that means that the TDs that are in our base could actually turn around and help me if I start getting pushed. Teamwork, right? It's what makes the dream work. So the Ho-Ri gets shut down by the Turan, just looking for shots at the other Turan, and there he is. It's like, hello, sir. Let me put that shot in for 438. That's a bit of a roll, but it is what it is. Waiting for the reload. Hopefully put a big shot into him to knock him down to a one-shot, and oh, we just missed the Turan, which is a sad time. T100LT crosses our aim, and then we're starting to be detected. I was thinking maybe that's probably something that's still up at A5. And I don't want to take that hit. And in fact, there's another Turan down at EF1. So we are going to try and spot him up again and put some shots in. And, oh, we just missed the Turan again. That was a bit of poor aim, really, because we really needed to give it that little bit more lead. And that's where the 930 meters a second shell velocity comes into play. We really just needed to lead that a little bit better and we would have hit it. So we get detected. We got detected there. And I knew that that bush with the rock next to it is where I could possibly blind fire that Turan if he got detected. And what I was waiting for was me to get detected. The moment I got detected, I was just going to blind fire that position, which is what we did. Because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Sadly, we didn't hit it, but we're still getting detected. So I'm like, is he there? Of course he's there! Because that's where he's going to be. It's really the only place he's going to be able to shoot and, well, just to be able to spot us and shoot us is right next to that rock. So we go for it again. But in fact, it wasn't the Turan this time that was looking at us, it was the T100LT. Because that's the thing, I know the Turan is nowhere further along that one line at this current moment in time, because my two TDs are at G2. So my two TDs at G2 would be the ones that would actually be spotting him if he'd pushed along. So we're just waiting. If I got detected and spotted there, again, I would blind fire that bush and put a shot in. But he gets spotted because he's hiding behind that rock, and our Turan shuts down the other Turan. We're up to 5k damage with 1738 assistance. Looking for the opposite Turan. We end up finding him, and I was going to poke over and shoot him, but we take a big hit in the side from something that is still at A5. And I was sitting here going, I didn't think there was anything at A5, and it's a Hurry 1. I didn't think there was anything where that Hurry 1 was, purely because of our TD at A6. But our TD was at A6 and hadn't seen him. So I was like, oh, there must, you know, we've taken A6. I can safely push over and shoot the Turan. No. That wasn't the case, because they hadn't cleared out that section. But now we've caught out the 268 version 4. We've only got heat rounds left, which means we should be able to go through this guy. So we're just following him around. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, this could be quite awkward if he decides to turn around and shoot me. But he's distracted with the TD. So we're just going to keep pummeling the shots in. He's now a one-shot for us, but he's starting to turn. And I start to have a bit of a driving problem. I'm like, oh, no. Oh, dear. We go for the RBRT into the engine deck, but sadly we moved a little bit too low and we actually hit the tracks, which means we didn't kill him. But the Turan finishes him off, so we finish with the victory. 2 kills, 6.3k damage, 2.8k assistance damage. Ace Tanker, the high caliber, the Confederate, with that 2017 base XP. A really great game there for the WZ-111, which is a tank that I do like. It can just be a bit awkward to play at times. You just got to be careful of the Armour and the fires, because, yeah, it can be a bit frustrating in that regard. But it's still a well-worthy tank to play in general, and it leads to 2 very good tier 10s in the 113 and the 111 5A. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.